Hi, grade 5. Last when we read Front Desk, we were talking about a penny that was worth a lot of money, and there were very few made, and it was worth $40,000. So we're just catching up with that. We didn't find the 1943 that day, but we did find a 1984 double die, and my dad said it was worth $30. A double die is when they accidentally print the word twice on the coin. Anytime that kind of mistake happens, the coin's automatically worth a lot more. I tilted my head to one side. Why is it automatically worth more? He didn't respond right away, so I added the 1984 double die to our collection of valuable pennies. We had about 17 pennies in the bag from all of our searching over the years. Altogether, it was worth about $300. My dad was enormously proud of them. He never once suggested we cash in those pennies. They were his babies. Why are the mistake ones worth more, Dad? That's a great question, he said. He put his coin down and turned to me. The fact that a penny could be worth 400,000 times more because of a mistake, what does that tell you? I shook my head. It means a mistake isn't always a mistake, he said. Sometimes a mistake is actually an opportunity, but we just can't see it right then and there. Do you know what I mean? He gazed into the distance. Like coming from this country, for instance, he said. My dad shook his head and chuckled. I thought it was going to be different. I closed my eyes, thinking of the plane ride over. My dad had given my hand a squeeze and asked, "Are you excited?" I nodded, even though I was more scared than excited, but he wasn't. He was just excited. As we flew across the Pacific, he and my mom had talked a mile a minute, making plans and setting goals. My mother asked if he thought that we could go to see the Statue of Liberty. Sure, that'll be a great first vacation. New York City, said Dad. We'll stay in a nice hotel, we'll get dinner, and go to a nice restaurant. You really think we can do all that? My mom said. I know we can, my dad said, beaming. I looked at my father now 2 years later. He had gray hair. The creases on his forehead had become ditches. Would you still have come? I asked him softly, if you knew. He looked up at me. In a heartbeat, he said, you know why? I shook my head. Because of you. You're my special penny, Mia, he said, touching my nose. You know that? I smiled, just sitting next to my dad by the beautiful lake. It made me so happy. I decided right then and there it didn't matter if we ever found the 1943, but it sure would be nice if we did. Chapter 17. My mom was hopping from one foot to the other in front of the office when we got back from the lake. While we were gone, the cable stopped working, and that was a big problem because free cable was a basic requirement of every hotel. It was one of those things customers absolutely have to have. You got to do something. I'm missing Cheers, said Fred. We picked up the phone. We speed dialed Mr. Yo. Luckily, even Mr. Yo understood the urgency of the situation. This was not like the washing machine breaking down. People could live with their dirty towels for a day or two, but they needed their TV. He immediately dispatched this cable repairman to the motel, a guy named Jose. Jose arrived at the motel half an hour later with a pickup truck full of tools and his daughter in tow. My jaw dropped to the ground when I saw who hopped out of the truck. It was Lupe. Lupe stood in the parking lot, squinting at the front office, blocking the sun from her eyes with her hands. I waved to her and started running outside. Her hands flew to her mouth when she saw me. At first, neither of us said a word. We just stood awkwardly at the front desk as my parents cleaned and her dad fixed the cable up on the roof. I kept looking over at her, hoping she'd say something. Finally, when I couldn't stand it anymore, I cleared my throat. I have to tell you something, I said. What? She said. I have to tell you something too. I really don't have a golden retriever. What? Me either, she said. I smiled. It turned out, just as I had been making everything up at school, so had Lupe. She didn't have a big house or 3 dogs, and although she did have a trampoline, it was one of those tiny little ones, and there was no way that you could do a flip on it. I don't know why I said all those things, she said. It just came out. I don't know why I said all those things either. The best part about Lupe and I coming clean was that she knew all about Mr. Yo and how horrible he was. She knew more than I did. In fact, she told me that he had 4 motels in Los Angeles and 1 in San Diego, a couple in Nevada and 1 in some island in Florida. That's why he's sometimes gone for weeks at a time, she said. Her dad had been working for him for years, and he was just as rotten to him as he was to us. So you know what, Jason? You know that Jason's his son, I asked. Of course I know that Jason's his son, said Lupe. Didn't I tell you that from day one, that he was terrible? I could hardly contain it. My heart swelled with excitement. Finally, I had someone to share this with. You know what, Lupe? I hope our cable breaks down every day so you can come over. Me too, grinned Lupe. So now for the first time, she's got a friend. And let's see where that friendship develops. Next time on Front Desk.